Hey guys, every time we talk about email deliverability, we always mention this perfect campaign that we want to run, whether we're doing a cold outreach or any email marketing campaign. Here is our top 10 steps to ensure smooth email deliverability and get to that perfect campaign. Number one, send emails only to your target audience and avoid using mass mailing lists. By a target audience, we mean people that match your ideal customer profile, relevant titles, relevant companies, relevant industries, actually people that can buy your products or your services. If you're using a mass mailing list of the people that are randomly added, or you're not sure whether all of them are relevant, eventually when you email those folks, first, you're going to have a very low engagement rate, which we're going to talk in a minute. And second of all, because those people won't be relevant, they would probably mark your emails as spam, thus decreasing your email deliverability. So you don't need that. Number two, never use personal email addresses to send emails to. By personal email addresses, we mean at gmail.com and yahoo.com, outlook.com, and other that we're using for personal use. Use only business email addresses for sending out emails. Primarily, it's because it's illegal, right? So you don't complain with CAN-SPAM law in the US, GDPR law in Europe, and some other laws that exist. And then second of all, it's just the bad marketing. And then third of all, probably you won't get very high results and very low engagement rate using those mailboxes. So why don't take a risk? Finishing the part with leads and email addresses. Number three, validate all your email addresses before sending emails. There are typically four instances of an email address. There is a valid email address, invalid, catch-all, and unknown. We don't recommend sending emails to catch-alls, invalid, and unknown, and use only valid email addresses for sending out emails. There's a number of tools out there that you can use to validate your email addresses, but make sure that all the email addresses that you are sending are valid. Number four, set up your tools depending on your type of outreach. Typically, there are two types of outreach. The cold outreach, whenever you're sending cold emails or doing a prospecting work, and the warm outreach or the email marketing outreach, where we have a list of subscribers that we are typically sending HTML emails to. Depending on the first or the second type of outreach, there are multiple tools that were built specifically for that type of outreach. Make sure that you don't use the tools that were created for farmer for the email marketing. Let me give you an example. A MailChimp, the tool that we all love, primarily was built for sending out newsletter type emails. And by the newsletter type emails, I mean an HTML email. They don't have a lot of features that allow us to have a very high performing cold outreach campaign, like setting up delay between emails, or generally even setting up a sequence of emails that will be sent one by one. There are other features that are not there. At the same time, they have a great HTML builder. So when you use MailChimp for cold outreach, you won't be able to send an effective sequence-based, plain text-based, with a 200 seconds delay between emails campaign. Instead, you will send a one-off HTML-based email that would probably trigger the spam filters and end up either in spam or in the updates folder. That is why you use tools like reply.io or outreach.io that were designed specifically for cold outreach that have all the features that I've mentioned. So make sure that depending on the type of outreach that you do, you set up the tools that were designed specifically for that type of outreach. Number five, set up your DNS records correctly. Whenever you are planning on sending out emails, make sure that your domain, the mailbox, or the tool that you wanted to use for this campaign have the right DNS records set up. There are four different DNS records: SPF records, the KIM record, MARC record, and BIM record. To learn more, follow this link on the screen. Typically, you need to set up those records to authenticate your domain, your mailboxes, or your tools to be connected to each other and verifying that this is you who are sending out emails. This step is very important because we've seen multiple times that because the DNS records were set up incorrectly, the emails ended up in spam that fast. To know whether your DNS records are set up correctly or not, you can use folderly email testing feature by following the link appearing on the screen to see what is your DNS record look like these days. Number 6, email engagement matters. Create email copy that is engaging. The email body, the subject line should be engaging to ensure that people open your email, they reply to that email, or they click on the link. The more engagement you have, the higher your email deliverability is at the end. Number 7, avoid spam words. The spam words are the words that are used by most spammers or mass mailers that spam filters know about, that they detect in your email copy. And the more spam words you have, the more chances are that you're going to be blacklisted or generally flagged. To know what is the current list of spam words, you can Google it, or you can also use tools like folderly email deliverability testing that highlights the spam words in your email copy and tells you which ones need to be rephrases or rewritten. Make sure that you keep the number of spam words at the minimum to ensure your high email deliverability. Number 8, every time you start a new campaign, warm up your domain, your mailboxes with the email template that will be used in this campaign. Many people that know that the domain and the mailbox needs to be warmed up, they just forget about the email template, which is very important because only if the email template is warmed up, it can be used for the campaign without damaging your domain reputation or your mailbox reputation at that extent. Typically, we recommend to use the template for the warm-up process at least 5 to 10 days before you start an actual campaign. You can use folderly warm-up feature by hitting this link appearing on the screen to ensure that your domain, your mailbox, and your email template is warmed up. Number 9, test your sending reputation regularly. Because there are so many moving parts in this, sometimes your domain can be blacklisted. Sometimes you just use too many spam words. Sometimes you exceeded the limits. You don't know that, but that all can affect your inbox placement rate. So the more often you check or you test your mailbox placement rate, you'll see whether you are in any blacklist or not, or generally just check your DNS records, the more confident you can be in your email campaigns and that everything works perfectly. You can use folderly email deliverability testing feature to make sure that everything is fine with your email inbox placement rate, with your blacklists, and with your DNS records. The last one for today, and the number 10, is adhere to your natural mailbox limits. Every mailbox or every tool that we use have a certain limit in terms of how many emails they can send per day, depending on the way they were designed. For example, Google Workspace or the Gmail has up to 250 emails as the daily limit of the email sent per mailbox. So it means that if you exceed that number, that you will be potentially flagged or blocked by Google. That would harm your inbox placement rate and your sending reputation in general. To avoid that, you need to keep your limit under 200 or 250 emails per day, and then you will be fine. Every ESP and every tool has a certain limit. So before you set up your new campaign, make sure that you know the limit of your setup. That's all for today. And folks, if you want to learn more, click on the link on the screen to go to folder.com to find out more tips and tricks and more insights and generally more information about the email deliverability, or get started with Folderly to test your email deliverability, warm up your reputation, or ensure that your email deliverability is maintained with Folderly email deliverability maintaining feature. I'll see you next time.